Tonight we're going to be sharing on next level kingdom living. Next level kingdom living. 2015 is on the verge of extinction. The thing about history is history represents the past tense. So when we close the door on 2015 will never be here again. It will be history. The history of 2015 will be accomplished in a matter of minutes. But as we get ready for this change, we have to reflect. And as we reflect, I believe that, I know for me, 2015 was a year of years. You know, there are years and there are years. 2015 was a year of years. I mean, a year like no other year I have experienced before. 2015 was a different year. 2015 was kind to some people, and it was unkind to others. EFM, we experienced something unprecedented. We experienced the unthinkable, the unfathomable. We went through a year that we never imagined. But as we approach 2016, we realized that for some people, 2015 was a period of what we call epic challenge. Epic means great, enormous. Anybody went through epic challenges in 2015? Raise your hand if you went through some epic challenges. I went through some epic challenges. Some of us, we experienced loss. We experienced distress. We had to enter into new environments. We had to take on new responsibilities. We went through displacement. Some of us went through tribulation. But through it all, we still managed to triumph. Anybody with me? Now I want to tell you something about 2015. The lessons of 2015 are for 2015. If you are learning the same things that you were supposed to learn in 2015, in 2016, it means that you are repeating. And when you repeat, if you ever went to school back in the day, before they had what they call the automatic or social graduation, social promotion, if you didn't pass, you didn't get to graduate. You didn't move on. Not only graduate, you didn't even go to the next grade. They used to call you retarded if you keep repeating the same thing over and over again. If you are continually repeating the same lessons, it means it's going to be difficult for you to get to the next level, because the next level requires movement. And if you're staying in the same place, you're not going to get to your destiny. The way life operates, life moves in stages. If you complete one level, then you get to move to the next level. You don't get to the next level if you don't complete the first level that you're on. If you want to move to level 2, you need to finish level 1. And I want to tell you something about getting to the next level. You cannot pray your way to the next level. You know, some people, they think they can do everything wrong, mess up their lives, and then pray and God will fix it. I'm sorry to announce to you, it will not happen. It's like a school young person. They have a test coming up, and they go to church, and they say, Pastor, you know, I need you to pray for me. And the pastor said, what can I pray for you for? They said, well, I have a test coming up, and I want you to pray that I make an A. And so the pastor says, well, okay, let's pray. He said, but first, let me ask you a question. How did your studies go? And then the young person says, well, you know, I didn't study. I said, well, what have you done? Well, you know, I went to school, but I didn't pay attention. At that point, you have to change the prayer. The prayer needs to change to God help you. You see, we are supposed to pray at every level of our lives. But when you want to move to the next level, it requires work. You see, you cannot pray your way to a good report card. You have to study. If you don't put in the time, you won't get the results. But some of us, we want to graduate in life without putting in any time. If you want to succeed, you have to study. You have to complete the assignments, and then you will get a good report card. The next level requires work and action. And I'm going to give you some pointers on what kind of action and what kind of work. I want to make an announcement to you, and I want you to get this announcement in your head tonight. It's time to figure it out. Now, what do I mean? You see, sometimes we are going through things in life. Sometimes there are lessons that are coming to us, and we never figure it out. You know, in my life, I finally figured it out. When I figured it out, I was able to graduate. You know what I figured out? I figured out that life is better in the kingdom of God. My track record became better when I started serving God. That's the person next to you, say, figure it out. You know, it's one of my pet peeves in life. You know, it amazes me that we have to run people down to tell them what's good for them. I mean, some things should be self-evident. As they say in the U.S. Constitution, it says, these truths are self-evident. In other words, anybody can see this. Even Stevie Wonder can see this. Someone who have one eye and half a brain can see this. But even in spite of how obvious some things are, some of us, we still don't figure it out. In 2016, you need to figure it out. Everybody say, figure it out. To get to the next level, one of the first things that we have to do is understand time. And I want to share some things with you about time that I want you to remember tonight. First thing is that time is a finite entity. It can be measured in hours and days and weeks and years. But the problem is that God is not finite. God is infinite. He has no time. He is known as the self-existent one. So before time was, he was there, and after time goes, he's still there. Because he's outside of time. He cannot be measured. But he has placed us in time, and because he's placed us in time, it means that our lives are measurable. We can measure certain things. You cannot measure eternity, but you can measure time. And our bodies qualify us to be in time. When you lose your body, you get out of time. You see, because your body restricts you to time periods. There's no morning and afternoon in heaven. There's only sunlight every day, all day. The temperature is always on chill. There's no seasons. But our bodies place us in time, so we have to deal with time. And the problem with time for all of us is that our time has an expiration date. Do you realize that, you know, just like a product, if you go into the store and you pick up a carton of milk, on the milk it says it will expire by June 26. So in other words, its time will be up. All of us have an expiry date. The problem is we don't know when the expiry date is. So it means that we have time, and it's a limited time, but we don't know the number or the days of our time, so that's why you have to maximize your time. We have a limited time, unknown duration. So what do we do with time? Sometimes you may feel like some people have more time than other people. You know, have you ever met people and you say, they have more than 24 hours in a day? They have to have more time than me because look what I did with my day and look what they did with theirs. They must have more time. But time is given to us in equal proportion, so everybody has the same time. What we are saying when we talk about a person like that is we are talking about somebody who maximized their time. No one has more time than anyone else. We all have the same amount of time. It's not how much time you have, it's what you do with the time that you have. That's what's important. It's not duration, it's about donation. God tells us what to do with time, and I want to share a scripture with you where God tells us about time and how to use time. Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 15, it says this. It says, "See then that you walk circumspectly." Everybody say circumspectly. Circumspectly means pay attention, do things in order, walk right. It says, "Not as fools, but as wise." Now, why would he emphasize not as fools? You know why? Because you have the opportunity to be fooled. Every day you have an opportunity to be fooled. Someone said one time, they said there's a king and a fool in all of us. And the one that you speak to the most is the one that's going to come out. So when we see you, we figure out who you've been talking to. It says, "Not as fools, but as wise." Now here's the big word that God gave us. He said, redeeming the time. So everybody has the same amount of time, but only some people cash in the time. If you don't cash in the time, you don't get the value. Redeem means to cash in, take advantage of the time. It says, because the days are evil. Now, we don't need a sermon to tell us that. We can see that the days are evil. It says, therefore, do not be unwise. You notice that twice it's talking about being fool and being wise, because it's easy to do either one. But if you want to get to the next level, you have to be wise. It says, not unwise, but understand what the will of the Lord is, and do not be drunk with wine. Now, you know, if God didn't spell it out for us, then we could debate it. You know, we have some drunken master Christians. It says, do not be drunk with wine. Now, if you're getting drunk with wine, you are disobeying God. Plus, you are in the category in the second line of the scripture right here. You see what it says there? Not as what? It says, do not be drunk in wine, in which is dissipation. Dissipation means mess up. And those of you who are veterans like I am, of the bottle or the pipe or whatever else, you understand that it's not good for your life. So God is telling us, with your time, don't spend your time on wine or alcohol. It says, but be filled with the Spirit, not spirits. You know, some of us, we think we're supposed to be filled with the Spirit. And let me tell you something, the Spirit is not named Hennessy. It's not named gin. That's the wrong spirit, all right? You got to be filled with the right spirit. So time represents opportunity. Now let's talk about the opportunities that we have in time. Here's some things, the opportunities you have with time. With time, you can spend time, you can waste time, you can use time, you can invest time, or you can redeem time. So you can spend your time, and then all of a sudden you're trying to figure out where the time went. You can waste time hanging around the wrong people, listening to the wrong things, occupying your life with things that don't add value. That's called wasting time. Because you see, when that time is gone, you'll never get it back. You can use time to develop your talents, gifts, and your abilities. You can invest time in other people. You can invest time in planting seeds into other people's lives. Or you can redeem time. Redeem means to convert to value. So you cause your time to increase your value. So you use your time to maximize your value. You're going to see some pictures on the screen. And the reason I put these pictures on the screen is because I want to tell you, I'll give you a little glimpse of what I did with my time in 2015. Because you see, I'm into redeeming the time. Dr. Monroe used to say, you got to die empty. And if you don't know how much time you have, you got to cash in on the time that you have. So this first photograph, this was in Houston, speaking to a university. This was in Jerusalem, speaking to over 3,000 believers from around the world, sharing the stage with a lot of names that we know. This is another picture there from Jerusalem. And then this is at TBN. And then this is here, right here at BFM. We had a men's conference and we invited over 600 young men. And these men, these young men, you can see their hands lifted to the Lord. Why? Because we're trying to help them to redeem the time. That's what I did with my time in 2015. There's another photo there of the young men. That's what we're supposed to be doing with our time. We're supposed to be redeeming the time, getting value out of the time, converting it into value. And then I spend time with my family. You see, you have to use your time to maximize what's important to you and what builds your value. It's important for me to be with my family. Because the first responsibility that God gave everyone was a family responsibility. He didn't give you a community responsibility first. You're supposed to be responsible for your family. So I spent time with my family. I was at a Colorado Rockies game. And then I spent time with the one that God gave me that I'm supposed to spend my time with. And it's not called a junglist. It's called a Proverbs 31 woman. And then I spent time writing books. You know, in 2015, I wrote 2 new books. I got some more to write in 2016. Everybody said redeeming the time. Now, I'll tell you how to get to the next level. So we're gonna close out tonight with the keys to getting to the next level. Anybody want to know the keys to getting to the next level? Let me tell you what the keys are. Key number 1, get rid of people who mess up your life. That's number 1. There's some people and things for 2016. If you want to get to the next level, you got to get rid of some people. Now, some of the people that you need to get rid of, they will not go voluntarily. People who mess up your life, they don't like to leave you voluntarily. You have to throw them overboard. You don't only have to show them the door, you have to push them out. Don't let evil, ignorant, destructive people interfere with your happiness. And I want to tell you something else. Stop feeling sorry for people who mess up your life. You know, sometimes we feel sorry when we have to kick somebody out of our lives and they ain't bringing no value. They're messing up your life and you say, well, you know, that's my friend from a long time ago. Let me tell you something. Friends are people who make your life better. If you can't figure out who your friend is, all you have to look at where you were before and when you met them, and if you're not moving ahead, it's time to get rid of them. I'm sorry, I can't be nice tonight because I'm telling you how to get to the next level. Anybody with me? Anybody want to get to the next level? Some people have to be escorted out of your life. Now, when they leave, I want you to change the lock, the keys, change the access code, and change everything else. Because, you see, people who like to mess up your life, they like stalkers. They keep coming back. You throw them out the door, they try to come through the window. You home, baby? Hey, you know, you cut out your other cell phone, but I found a new one. You have to get rid of them. There was a song several years ago, I don't know if y'all remember that song. It says, go walk out the door, don't turn around, you're not welcome anymore. Anybody remember that song? So there's some people, 2016, you got to tell them, go walk out the door, you're not welcome. I mean, you don't have to tell them that hard. Sometimes you might have to tell them that hard. Because if you don't tell them that hard, they ain't going. So I have a question for you. Who are the 5 people who are closest to you in life? Out of those 5 people, what value do they bring to your life? You're going to do a self-evaluation. Everyone who is close to me for the last 30, 20, at least 30 years, they added value to my life. If the 5 people who are close to you are not adding value to your life, you need to get a new 5. You need a new starting 5. You always have to ask that question. If you want to get to the next level, you have to ask, what are these people adding to my life? Step number 2, Stop outsourcing your happiness.